High costs may keep Israel out of a protracted conflict with Iran, Wall Street Journal. The U.S. is preparing for massive airstrikes on Iran over the coming weekend. Journalist Seymour Hersh. U.S. doesn't rule out using tactical nuclear weapons to strike Iran's underground uranium enrichment facility at Fordow, Fox News. Trump won't hesitate to order strikes on Iran if diplomatic efforts fail, White House. Trump is approaching the issue of strikes on Iran with caution. He fears turning the country into a second Libya, NYP. Britain and Europeans persuade Trump not to strike Iran over threat of terrorist attacks in Europe, the Daily Telegraph. Britain, France and Germany have 2 weeks to resolve Iran crisis, British Foreign Secretary. Canada is set to decide in late July on retaliatory duties on steel and aluminum from the US. The decision will depend on the outcome of trade talks with Washington, Canada's PM Carney. Iran is not ready to negotiate with anyone as long as Israeli attacks continue, Foreign Minister Arachi. Canada imposes safeguard duties on steel and aluminum imports in response to US actions. Ottawa will adjust the 25% duties on these metals from the US by July 21, depending on the progress of negotiations with Washington. Canada's PM Carney. Trump gave 2 weeks. Trump will decide whether the U.S. will become directly involved in the Iran-Israel conflict within the next 2 weeks, the White House said. Spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt had a message from Trump, BBC. China, 1-year LPR, loan prime rate, equals 3%. 5-year LPR, loan prime rate, equals 3.5%. Japan, CPI consumer inflation, May. MOM equals plus 0.3% YOY. YOY equals plus 3.5% YOY. Core CPI equals plus 3.7% YOY. Japan's core inflation rose to the highest level in 2 years. Market expectations continue to rise that the Japanese central bank will continue to raise rates. Rice prices in Japan more than doubled in May, CNBC. China has amassed record oil reserves, Bloomberg. China's Baidu is targeting Singapore and Malaysia for expansion of its robotaxi service. OPEC Plus production growth in the coming months is unlikely to lead to a glut in the oil market. Temporary oil surplus may be offset by purchases for strategic reserves by the US, China and other countries. Many Wall Street strategists believe trade frictions and geopolitics will not break the bullish trend in European equities, but may only slow the rally. Most are betting on continued gains, Bloomberg. US. National debt hits record high of $37 trillion, Trump still pushing to repeal national debt ceiling. Today is the largest June expiration in US stock options in history, at $5.9 trillion, Goldman. Meta announced smart glasses in partnership with Oakley and Prada. Price starting at $499. Pre-orders from July 11. Bank of America raised its forecast for stocks 600 VN 2025 to 530 points from 500 points. Bloomberg ETF senior analyst Eric Balchunas significantly raised the likelihood of ETFs on various altcoins being approved this year to 90% or higher, citing the fund's increased engagement with the SEC on these issues. ICE Exchange raised collateral requirements in Brent futures by 24% at once. BTC has held above $100,000 for more than 40 days in a row. Mexican billionaire Ricardo Salinas predicts that BTC will surpass the gold market in terms of capitalization, which means BTC will rise to at least $800,000. South Korea has unveiled a policy planning roadmap for the approval of local spot crypto ETFs. The roadmap also includes plans to relax the regulation of stablecoins with a link to the one. Semler Scientific SMLR announced that it plans to increase the number of BTC on its balance sheet to 10,000 by the end of 2025, 42,000 by the end of 2026 and 105000 by the end of 2027 using equity, debt financing and operating cash flow as funding sources. Skybridge Capital founder Anthony Scaramucci believes Solana will surpass Ethereum in the future. Sentiment: now whales are buying BTC, small investors are selling. Historically bullish. Sentiment notes steady growth in the number of new addresses on the ETH network equals historically bullish. Tron founder Justin Sun sat down with digital asset executive Bo Hines to discuss Tron and blockchain's role in advancing U.S. cryptocurrency leadership. Ricardo Salinas, the third richest man in Mexico and founder of Grupo Salinas, recently increased his holdings in BTC again. About 70% of his portfolio is now in BTC. He is waiting for corrections in the market for further purchases. Yesterday BlackRock bought 6,018.36 Ethereum worth $15.1 million. Total inflows into the BTC ETF were $388 million. Ston token from the Stonfi-listed platform KuCoin, one of the largest exchanges in the world. Norway's K33 has raised SEK 185 million to buy BTC for its balance sheet. Coinbase has been granted an EU MiCA license. Swaps Ireland for Luxembourg as main hub. Bullish sentiment in BTC now at 3-month low, CryptRank. Reddit is in talks to implement Sam Altman's Project World Orb iris scanning device to verify users, Semaphore. The Wyoming USA Stablecoin Committee announced that Aptos and Solana have become the preferred blockchain platforms for their WYST stablecoin. Kindly MD company Narca starts buying BTC for balance.